All right, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to share a couple things today. I want to talk about one of the impacts of growing up with childhood trauma and neglect. One of the things that that makes childhood trauma and neglect so harmful is that it narrows people's tunnel. Like it narrows their view. A tunnel is already narrow, but it makes you like tunnel visioned. Um, when you are constantly in a state of fight or flight or, fawn, or however a person responds to trauma and neglect, abuse, um, you're not thinking of your life beyond this experience. You're not planning on setting yourself up. You're not recognizing the importance of learning skills because you're stuck here in an unsafe environment. And when I got older and I was able to like be around other people my age or like other adults who were safe, and I saw different things, it made me a little angry, but it also motivated me. It's like there is a world outside of my aunt and her trauma and anxiety and my anxiety and my limitations. And it made me realize how much the people who abused me really wanted me to be held back and kept down. Um, and it was like anytime I tried to deviate out of that, like getting an education, not getting pregnant, at an early age, just being very intentional about the choices that I made, um, they couldn't allow that. So they made numerous attempts to make important life milestones and achievements about them. Um, my aunt, so when I was going to college initially, I was planning on going to Western Michigan. Obviously, that is really far from Flint, but I'm like, I'm going. Like, that's where I want to go. That's what I want to do. I want to go to college, yada, 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 signed up for the dorm and all this other stuff. I'm communicating with my family. I'm like, this is my plan, yada, yada, yada. Now, I know, like, I knew people who went to college and seen how their family showed up, like either with just money or like moving things or providing guidance and information on how to adjust to this new change and new phase in my life. But my relatives, they were just like not really, they weren't being supportive. So my aunt did everything in her power to make sure I was not going, and she took great pride in that. So I obviously did not go. um so the time leading up to um me, like when I was supposed to get to the dorm and move in, my cousin, she's like, oh, just let me know. Like, I'm gonna come and get you and I'm gonna take you. So I told her, I was like, it's this day. She's like, okay, I'm gonna put it on my calendar, yada, yada, yada. So I'm waking up like early in the morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning, because I'm like, okay. And like, I had my stuff. My aunt, she was like, we're not helping you. I'm not, helping you. I'm not asking anybody to drive you. I'm not giving you any money. If you go there, don't call and ask me for no money. Because the thing was that once I turned 18, my dad child support stopped. And even though like my mom, she was like sending money, but that was only once a month. But with the child support, it was biweekly. And so she was just like, I'm not giving you anything now. This was after she didn't allow me to get a driver's license, didn't allow me to get a car. And then I had to use the money that my mother was sending me through her SSI. Um, had to use that, and then obviously whatever my father was sending to pay for my graduation party, to pay for prom, and to do other things. So my aunt was really adamant about not supporting me. And so the day came, and I'm calling my cousin, no fucking answer. And I'm like, okay, like, well, maybe she's like on the way here, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, no. So she lived in like Ypsilanti, which is like south of Flint. So it's like she would drive from Ypsilanti to Flint, and then we would head over to the west side of the state to go to Kalamazoo to Western Michigan. Nothing. And so there was like no apology. My cousin just didn't say anything about it. And then I was pissed. And so I just was like, you know what? I'm not gonna make any effort to talk to her. Like, for what? Like, what the fuck am I talking to you for? Like, like I needed you. You said you were coming or whatever. So I ended up not going. And so I had like applied to other colleges. I applied to Wayne State and then I applied to U of M Flint. So I was just like, you know what, at this point, I just may as well stay home and go to U of M Flint. So, um, yeah, so that's what I did. But even though, like, while staying home at U of M Flint, so I was already a week late starting courses. Then my aunt was like, oh, well, I'm not helping you get any books. I'm not helping you get any books. Now, she's still getting child support for my brother, and she knows or whatever. So I didn't get books my first semester of college until pretty much after midterm. So midway through the semester, I finally get books. So needless to say, after all was said and done, I ended up freshly 18, $11,000 in debt because I didn't go to the dorm. And, you know, yeah, $11,000 in debt. And then my aunt, what else? Oh, on academic probation. So my first semester, I got a email from U of M Flint, and they were like, you're on academic probation, and if you don't turn this around, like if you don't raise up your GPA, you're gonna get kicked out of the university. And then I had to meet with the academic advisor, I think like every month. So to talk about, how to adjust better to college. But I said all that to say that that's how your abusers will keep you low. Like they will do things to sabotage your growth. And, people will say, like, oh, your aunt didn't know, and this, and that, and they expect you to give grace to people who my family wanted me to be poor. Like, that's how abusers operate. They don't want you to be free at all. And she did things that she knew would make me free, give me power and access of my life, and access to things that will improve my life. And she cut each and every one of those. And she didn't stop. Like, I started working at 18, but I was like turning 19 that year. So when I filed for my taxes, so I'm turning 20, 19 turning 20, she tried to claim me on her taxes. And I'm like, okay, like I have been out of your house for a year. I've been working at Royal Lobster. Like, what are you talking about? You about to try to claim me on your taxes? You ain't doing nothing. I'm not dependent on you. Once my father stopped sending the child support, like once it was over, once I turned 18, she did everything in her power to push me out of her home, even risking me potentially being homeless, right? Um, and that is again why I say people who abuse you, they have no business being in your life. They've already dehumanized you. My aunt and my relatives do not value me, do not value my humanity. They do not value me being free. They do not value me being loved. That's not something that they want. And when I went against the grain, when I was like, okay, well, fuck y'all, I'm gonna go get this shit myself, there was so many attempts to try to sabotage and talk me out of plans. Oh, you need to do this. Oh, you need to do that, constantly moving the goalpost. And anytime I did something that they didn't agree with, or whatever the case may be, they made it a point to try to make me feel bad, to try to discourage me. And that is why I say, especially people who have dealt with childhood trauma, and you're an adult, and you still around your family members that did not support you bettering yourself, who made life hard for you, who beat you as a kid, starved you as a kid, told all your business as a kid, recruited other people to harm you as a kid, took you to mental health facilities to get you diagnoses and put you on medication to get SSI for you. You need to leave them fucking people the fuck alone. And it's not about, oh, dismantling families and all this other stuff, because I identify as family oriented. But still, and you could say like, oh, it's a systemic thing. Your family, they had it hard and that's all they knew. And da 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 da. No, 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 no. You knew to you knew to cut and sabotage, like I said, me getting a license, me going to college, me working in high school, um, me engaging in activities in high school. You knew to do that because you're actually smart. And I don't want to hear a motherfucking thing about trauma and systemic shit when it comes to abuse. Like, yeah, maybe if our society was more fair and maybe if there was better access to mental health services, we wouldn't have this. Yes, okay. But there are people who didn't have that, who supported their children going to school because they knew this is how my kid's going to get out. There are people who have changed their lives so that their children will have it easier, even with the system that we have in place. And I'm tired of people defaulting to the system to excuse abuse. And so people who are survivors of abuse, can empathize with their fucking abusers and enable them. And it's all an attempt to keep you at a low functioning frequency because, like I said, when someone abuses you, it's not just in the natural, it is in the spiritual. So their demonic spirit, low functioning spirit, you are sending messages spiritually that this is okay. And I just believe that the way to heal, one of the ways, is go in no contact with people who abuse you. Even if they're sorry, even if whatever, you need to go no contact, because all the stress and strife that people still feel when they're in contact with their abusers, whether it's an ex-spouse, a friend, a parent, a sibling, or whatever, your spirit knows. And that's why you're always anxious. And that's why you're always this. And that's why you're always that. That's why you feel no peace, because you're still allowing your abuser to have power over you. It does not make people weak for going no contact, or for cutting people off, or ghosting people who are abusive. That is what is necessary. It is necessary that you take responsibility for yourself and your healing and do what the fuck you need to do. It is sad when families have to break up. It is sad. But at the same time, if you don't want that cycle to continue, because what's going to happen is, I'm talking about familial things. You're going to abuse your kids. You can't stay in contact with your abuser and then think like you're going to be a good parent, because you're not. All that anger, because your abuser is still going to abuse you. They're still going to look down on you. They're still going to discount you. They're still going to invalidate you. They're going to find ways to continue abusing you. It's never going to get better. Once someone abuses you, that's it. And not just physical, all forms of abuse. That is it. That is the end of the relationship. It ain't no, oh, they have it. No, they're an abuser through and through. And I wish people had a more no-nonsense approach to abuse. But you take advice from other people who stay in abusive situations, and you benefit from your abuser, whether it's clout, whether it's money, whether it's just security, or whether it's just a reason for you not to take responsibility for yourself. And after a while, I don't want to hear about it. I get tired of hearing adults that I know talk about how much stress they're under, but they don't want to stop talking to their abusive mama or their abusive daddy, right? They don't want to take responsibility for the choices that they make in friendships or staying at a job or whatever. And it's like, after a while, it's like, oh, well, I don't know what to tell you. So please leave people alone that abuse you. Leave people alone that try to set you up. Leave people alone who have made decisions and have done things to you that dehumanize and deny your humanity and deny you safety.